Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar titled Stop Rechecking, Start Designing and Maintaining the Power of Intelligent Engineering Software. My name is Selo Malinga, Business Development and Technology Transfer Manager for Africa at the Center for Excellence in Mining Innovation under the MICA Network. It's a pleasure to be your moderator today. A warm welcome to all of you for joining from different regions and time zones. We appreciate you being here today with us. I would also like to highlight that Dessoft has recently joined us as a new MICA member, and we are excited to officially welcome them into our global innovation community. Today's session is part of our broader effort to bring mining stakeholders and technology leaders together to explore tools that enhance design, maintenance, productivity, and operational efficiency. Dessoft's intelligent engineering software is an excellent representation of this direction. Before we begin, just a few quick housekeeping notes. This session is being recorded and will be shared with all the participants. Please feel free to submit your questions at any time using the question and answer box. And if you encounter any technical issues, kindly use the chat and our team will support you. It is now my pleasure to introduce our presenter for today, Mr. Johan Hamann, who's the Operations Director at Dessoft. Johan will guide us through Dessoft's engineering and design platform and demonstrate how intelligent engineering software can transform project execution and maintenance. Thank you once again for joining us. Johan, over to you.
Thank you so much, Selo, and I appreciate this opportunity. Thanks to the MICA team as well. And also from my side, a very warm welcome to everybody that joined us today. So I'm going to start immediately by sharing my screen and with a small presentation, and then I will go over to a live demonstration of the software where you can see how it really works with it. So Dessoft is there for creating your design software and your engineering information. And the emphasis is also on the information side, because very often we only hear about the documentation, but we know that nowadays it's very important to have accurate and good information as well. So just a little bit of history of who Dessoft is. We have developed engineering software since 2001. And the products that we have is our PIN-ID that can do process flow diagrams as well as your piping and instrumentation diagrams. FDIS, which is our field bus and instrumentation designer, and it is our electrical designer. And now today I will show you our DDIS, where all of these are in the DDIS application. So just also to give you indication that where it's used, we are big in the mining industry within South Africa, in your platinum, diamond, iron ore, aluminium, all sorts of mining industries are using our software. But it's also used like in agri, like Illovo for your sugar mills and so on. It's used in the nuclear industry. Then there are various EPCs and system integrators that are using our software, international and just local as well. And the software can be used from a small plant like a water and a wastewater plant to a big plant like a chemical, like in our case, SUSTEC plant. So what it means is that the software can be scalable from a small project to a big one, and it can be customized to suit every type of project without the need of a new patch from our side. So the software in itself covers basically the process side for your reactors, your tanks, and your pipes, and the mechanical side for like your pumps and agitators and so on. On electrical, your cubicles, your motors, your electrical cables, mostly from the MCC to the field, where the bulk documents are needed and where the most time-consuming part is. And then in the instrumentation world is your valves, transmitters, panels, and down to the terminal and core detailed level. So I'm going to illustrate then a little bit of that. Our systems are integrated database. So we have one central database that where you work with from the PID, electrical and instrumentation. And what it means is that if there's a valve on a PID that you see the information, that same information is also available on the instrumentation side. And then the same for a motor. So electrical motor that you can see on a PID will have the same properties or information that you will see on the EDS side. So it's all the time just one source of the truth that you will see. And that already helps to have accurate information. It eliminates duplication of equipment, because very often we found that different departments have their own list of equipment, and not all of them are in sync. And with the central database like ours, we will be able to eliminate that problem. But the main thing also is that if you can design on a software and you can hand that information over for your maintenance phase, there's very valuable information that's preserved and can be used immediately and effectively within your maintenance phase. So further with your assets, by having a system like ours, it really gives you an accurate asset list, because it's what's truly representative in your plant, and it's not out of sync of what is in reality. And obviously, if you can maintain your drawings and so on, it can really help you to reduce plant downtime. But now you have accurate information and you can work directly from there. So our PID application is really intelligent, and you can create a process flow diagram. And from that, you can, with your stream information and everything that's on your process side, but then you can save that as a PID, where you can add your control systems to it, or control philosophy, or instrumentation and your electrical motors to it. And also within this application, you have a data sheet where you can define your specifications for these equipment. And for example, if it's an instrument data sheet, you will be able to share that in the instrument side as well as on the PID side. Or if it's a motor, then on the electrical side as well. If I look at my EDS and FDS, our electrical instrumentation design tool, it is really there to quickly build your design information. And our diagrams are generated from the database, which makes it a total different approach than what you normally got in the industry. And the emphasis again, as I said in the beginning, is really to have good information. And if you then, without having to draw lines, you get your diagrams out as well. And what this also means is that if you need to do a change, you only need to do it in one place, and that will replicate that same change on all your types of documents. So again, it will save you a lot of time, and that's what we meant by having an intelligent system, and you can just focus on your design instead of trying to look at all the data everywhere. So a change for example, on a tag number, if I do a change on my PID, which is my first document, that change will go to the database, but then you will be able to see it already on your loop diagram. You will see it on your junction box termination connection diagram. You will see it on your instrument IO list. You will see it on your cable list, your instrument list, and the data sheet. So just to name a few of the documents that needs to be updated with such a change. So now you can see already the benefit from that, and that's normally where the hiccup started. If you are interrupted while you're busy updating your documents, and then you skip one of them, and immediately people don't trust the system because your documents are not in sync with what is in a plant, and that's what we can overcome. Then we also have speed building tools that I will show a little bit of at the end. So that will really help you to start your design and create a new project. On top of this is that we have also a changes workflow. And what this means is that if you do a red line, so for example, it's meant for call outs over during the night, over a weekend. So planned maintenance, normally there are good systems in place and it's well planned. But what do you do with the ad hoc changes, those breakdowns that wasn't planned? And with our system, when you do a red line of a diagram, it will activate a workflow. And that workflow will send a notification, if it's an instrument workflow, to the instrument engineer, the foreman, the senior technician, the draftsman, whoever you want to be notified from it. The same applies for electrical order PNID, the process side as well. You can have various people and different people for each workflow. And then that workflow can either be approved or rejected. But the main thing is suddenly everybody is aware of those changes that happened over the weekend or overnight. And you build up a history so you can see what is and where are the most problems occurring. And that helps really with your whole maintenance part as well. So thank you for that. Let me rather show you the software. I just wanted to give you an overview where our focus will be and that we can go into the software itself. So this is our application called DDES. The moment you start it up, you will land onto this landing page or the home page. And in here, you can either go to your FDES, which is our instrumentation application, or EDES, our electrical application, or the PNID application. You can also open any project and you will align all three of these applications with that project. Further, do you have like a project overview that can quickly guide you and tell you what type or the status of your project, and you can have regular checks to see what is the progress on your project itself. So you can either do it for the estimation or what is actually happening there. And you can see here, for example, if I got 74 instruments, how many of these instruments are already wired? How many got data sheets? How many is allocated to an IO or the PLC? How many cards do have soft addresses? And how many defined loops got already a diagram or a loop diagram associated with it? If you got to look at the shared components, which is the field side, you will see how many panels are connected, how many panels got documents, how many cables are connected, and the cores, and so on. So it really helps you to have that. And then the summary will give you a proper count of everything and how many IO cards are there, analog outputs, digital input cards, and so on. And you save that to a file and you can measure the progress as you go on in the design phase. But let me go to the PNID itself. And here I'm going to open a PNID diagram, and you can open it by just double clicking on it. And it will open this drawing. But for you to find or look at this drawing and you want to go to a specific piece of equipment, you need to scroll through the whole drawing. And it's not so easy to find something on this drawing. But to look at a list like this, it is very simple to get to the proper equipment because our eyes are trained to look through a list. So I can just double click on that and it will go to that level transmitter, zoom in and highlight it for me. On top of it, I will see on the right hand side all the properties that's for that specific instrument. So I can see the tag number, the description, the manufacturer, the model, the range, set point, calibration, all these properties, and you can add to that. It can be customized by yourself, so anybody can have more of these. So the other thing is, if I want to know where is this temperature transmitter, it will go to that temperature transmitter there, and now it's different properties that you can see. And again, if I want to know where's this tank, there's my tank, and again, it's different properties for the tank. But you don't always have to go through this list. I can at any time just click on this motor. The moment I click on it, I will have the properties of that motor. And now again, you can see it's totally different to the tank and the instrument where it now is. Look at your absorb power, your load efficiencies, your load factors, all of that electrical properties that's necessary. So by looking at your drawing, you have everything that you want to see for engineering side for a piece of equipment. So that is just to show you how this drawing will work. I will open another one, and in this one I'm going to do a change to the tag number, and by changing this tag number it will update obviously this loop drawing, but then it must update all these other documents that I mentioned in the beginning. So if I just click on this flow transmitter, again I can see all the different properties of that instrument, but also now I can say, okay, rename this tag number. And you have, with us, you can have different tag rules. A tag rule is just to help you to make sure that you are within your engineering standards and how you want to implement and use your specific project. So by adding just an A there, I can say, okay, update this drawing. And now immediately my pin ID is up to date, where it just updated the number pod of it because of the tag rule. And I can also see it that the tag number has been changed. And what you also can do from here is open my data sheet directly from this selected tag number. And the moment I open my data sheet, it will show you that there's a difference between a document value and a database value. And this data sheet is an Excel document. And the reason for this is because when you are creating a data sheet, you want the supplier to populate some information for you. So now I can sync my database to this document without have to copy or paste or typing anything. And now my instrument tag number is updated as I've done the change on the pin ID itself. And this Excel document then, as I said, can be sent to your supplier. He can look at all your process information and then make sure that you have the correct instrument or motor or whatever type of data sheet you have used for that process application. Say, for example, this person will do a change and say, okay, the model number is 123456 for this instrument. He can send it back to you, and the moment you will receive it back and you open it, the same thing will happen again. And now you can see that the document, you want the document value to be updated to the database, and it will sync back to the database. So what this already done is that the moment I click again on this instrument, I will see there's my model number updated from the data sheet. And again, I focus only on my information. I don't have to type it in. I don't have to do a Control-C, Control-V, nothing. And I have accurate information. What you will also get from the pin ID application is we look at the data sheets now. We've looked at the drawings, but you can also have your reports from here. So reports means that you have different lists that you can look at. I can look at my electrical index, which is my motors, or my equipment list, which is different tanks, or the instrument index. I can look at my nozzles. I have a pin ID validation to check that all my pin ID information is correct and on a document. I can have a pipe list and so on. So I've just opened my instrument index, and inside here, there's a change from the pin ID. So the tag number has been updated, and there's a change from the data sheet, which is the model number that's been updated. And now again, I don't have to worry that I have to go and update my instrument index. It is just up to date with one change in one place that I've made. So the other side of an instrument will be the instrumentation application. So I will go in there to show you the more detailed information like the wiring data and so on of my instrument itself. So let me then go to back to DDS environment, the home screen, where I can switch to the instrumentation side, and I save all that information that I've changed. And now I will go into my FDES, which is Field Bus and Instrumentation Designer. And if I go to my components, and by the way, sorry, I've quickly go past this, you can see there's a lot more modules within the instrumentation part, but there are also common ones like the data sheets are there, the components are there. And I'm going to focus a bit more on the component side now. But you also see the reports there. But now you can see detail wiring, these drawings again, racking and routing, There's hookups that can give me a full bill of material of what's happening, like cable ties, how many flanges I need to use, whatever is needed to construct this project. I have a cable block view and so forth. So multiple modules that's included into the software itself. So now I will go to components. And here I can see my control loops. I can see my field panels, my PLC panels, and then there's some productive options or detailed information that I can look at. So just by looking at the loops here, I can see we have this capability to filter quickly to the specific item I would like to look at. I can say, give me anything in area 88, and then just by typing 88, I can look at this, or give me all my levels just by entering an L, and I can find that, or all the flows, for example. So various ways to quickly find information on it. And in fact, you can say it must exactly match that, or contain it, or is like it, or begins with, or ends with. So various ways to easily find information in this list, especially on your bigger types of projects. So when I double click on this, it will open my flow loop. And here again, we focus on the information, because the drawings are just a spin-off of this data that's inside there. So I always say that the same effort you put in to populate your Excel document, for example, because the majority of engineers I know will always have an Excel document with all its information. But if you use that same effort and you put it into our system, you will have the additional benefit of having your loop drawings, your instrument list, your cable schedule, all of that as a spin-off of that data. So in this control loop, I can see that there are 3 instruments. There's a flow transmitter, there's the change from a PID, but now I can see more details. So by the way, just by clicking there, I can see exactly the same properties that I've seen on a PID. So sharing of information between departments, which is very often difficult, because I think if you are in the industry, you know it's not so easy to get all the data from another department. But now it's just available by a click on it. And the details I can see here is, for this instrument, is the T-strip. And on the T-strip, when I click on it, there's my T-strip properties. And I can immediately see the T-strip terminals, or that instrument terminals, analog input with a plus-minus terminals. And then this will be my instrument cable, which is a white black screen. And I can see that it's a 2-core screened cable, and all the other properties of that cable that's available. Then there's my I2P, and then the T-strip here is analog output plus minus. There's my instrument cable, and then the documents here will be my loop drawing. And you can also have like either external PDF documents that you can associate, like a vendor type drawing, or even a manual, or any other PDF document can be associated, that you have it with this loop, so to make your life easier. When I preview this, it will generate from the database this loop drawing. Now again, you can customize this to have, for example, a circle, or you can have less or more information here, and it's on your own border that you can put it. So all of that is customizable for yourself. But the main thing is, this is auto-generated. I don't have to draw lines, and I will show you a bit later in this presentation how you can start from scratch and get to this very quickly. But here is the change from the PID itself. It tells me this is the instrument. The description is my analog input plus minus. There's my instrument cable. It is white black screen, and there's my field section then, which is my junction box, its terminals, a multi-pair cable going to the PLC information, to a landing strip, single wires to a PLC analog input card, analog output card. I can see the soft addresses. I can see what type of cards are there, on which channels connected, and the terminals, everything about it. So lots of detailed information immediately just by looking at this drawing. So this is then my loop drawing. If I want to find this field panel, I can go to field panels, which is that JBA one. So there it is. I double click on it, and now I got my JBA, and I can see the panel details for it. But now inside the JBA, there's a T-strip, and I can look at this T-strip and I can see there's 24 terminals from 1+, 1- all the way down to 8+, 8- screen for this JB. Then the cable tells me it's an 8-pair cable, and there it is, 1 white, 1 black screen, 24 cores all the way to the bottom until we got 8 white, 8 black screen, that detailed information. Now the documents again will be my termination drawing for this JB. So if I preview this, I get this drawing without again have to draw any lines. So there's my junction box, there's my 24 terminals, and there's the change from a pin ID on this first instrument and all the instruments that's connected to this JB. There's the 8-pair cable connected to the PLC, the landing strip as we have seen on the loop drawing. But what you can also see on this, and that's maintained by the software, is that a cable like this on the right-hand side, that 1 white, is connected to this terminal strip and that terminal number, and on the left-hand side to that terminal strip and that terminal number. And that's automatically maintained for you, and you don't have to type anything or think about it. But if you don't like this presentation of it, you can still go and customize this and with a query, which we also give you some examples from with the system, and you can totally customize whatever you want to see on this drawing. But yes, here is my junction box drawing and how it's created for me. Then the other thing that you can look at is, again, the reports. We have looked at the instrument list, but you can have your costing reports, my cable cost, for example, which will tell me every cable, how many meters are there if I use racking and routing. And also this is intelligent types of reports. It will mark where there's no information in. It will tell you you have to add more information there so that this report can work to the full benefit of it. Also, the reports are customizable. You can create your own types of layout through it anytime you want, and add more columns or remove some of that, totally within your hands. And again, you don't need anything from our side to do it. After your training, you'll be able to do everything that you need. So you also have, without any extra effort, you can have like an overview of your PLC panel. So I can see immediately this panel on rack 0, slot 1 is a digital input 16-channel card, slot 2 is an analog output 4-channel, and so on. So easily to see where spare channels and so forth. Then you can also have like device costs, which means it's your circuit breakers, your contactors, or anything that you want to use within or need to use within your plant itself. There's my instrument costs, for example. And then inside here, I can see what type of instruments there are. At the moment I assign a type, I will get, for instance, control valves. There are so many control valves. That's the cost of it and the total of it around it. But then you have the card layout that we have seen on this one. But if you want to see more details about it, you will also have your I/O schedule. Now, the I/O schedule is exactly the same, but it gives you now the source addresses, the tag number, and the description for each of these cards. And again, it's no extra effort for yourself. These are just a spin-off of the data that you get from the database. So very handy. And also nice things that you can do with I actually want to open my instrument index again just to show you something. You can have like a watermark here that you can say, okay, this is just a draft, or it is for internal use. The moment you do this, it will mark it on all your pages. And there's a spelling, sorry for that. But it's easy like this type of control, and you can export this to a PDF or any of these types of documents for external use or somebody else that can use it. And to remove it again, you just say, okay, remove this watermark, and now your report is back to where it was. So very flexible, very customizable, that you can use with the software. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you here is maybe just another way is, how do I do bulk updates of information? So you can work directly what we call in tables. Tables give you a spreadsheet view where you can do bulk updates of all your information. And again, you can quickly filter to get specific information. But on top of this, you can also customize it by grouping it per area and then per function, which will give you this type of view where you can have per area and then give me all my flow transmitters, and you can quickly work like that. And obviously, if you don't want to do it like this, it's not a problem. You can just go back to the previous view, because I could have done, say, okay, give me area 22 and give me all my flow transmitters, and there's the same view that I just had filtered for this. Obviously, you can export and import this as well. There's my import table, export my table. So various ways to reuse this data for other systems, or the PLC or a SCADA system, and so forth. Saying about that, we also have something called user tools, where we have integration to different systems like Siemens, Allen Bradley, your Schneider PLCs, Wonderware, Orchestra that we can interface with, and so forth. So various ways that the software can work with it. Right. Then the last thing I quickly want to show you is, how do I start a clean project and can quickly create a lot of data with our software. So if I go to this project that is a clean project, and I go into my instrumentation again, I will see that there's no instruments inside here at all. So if I take out the filters, you can see there's nothing. And if I go to my components, here you will also see there's no loops, no field panels in here. But we have something called a bulk component builder. And inside here you have two options. So the first option is the default, and you can create your whole plant using this bulk builder. Or the second one is where you can do it per field panel, and then using this, it will do automatically all your cable connections from what is created for this field panel. And that's what I'm going to illustrate for now. So I can say, for example, on a JB, I will have 5 flow transmitters, and it's this type analog input. And the T-strip I'm going to use is a 1 group plus minus analog input. And my instrument cable library will be a 1 pair white black screen. And the tag rule that I already mentioned will break up this tag number into the area function num columns for me, so I don't have to retype that again, and I can use it on my PIN-ID into the bubbles that's inside there. So I want to add this flow transmitters. Then I also want to add 5 valves for this JB, and probably would have done per JB just inputs and then later another JB for outputs. But for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to group them together, and the cable and the tag rule can be the same. So now I will create 5 transmitters and 5 valves for this JB. So I'm going to create 1 JB, and then the panel tag rule will be area function number, and the cable library will be 8 pair 1 white 1 black screen, and the T-strip within this JB must be terminal block 01, or you can say TS01, or whatever your naming convention is going to be. And then I want to have an 8 group A star analog star type T-strip. So I add that as my JB. And then for the PLC, I want to add, let's say, 3 analog input cards. And my card library is analog input, and the rule will be IO rack number. So the IO rack number, and I can add that. Now, if I say next, it's tell me that it's going to create 10 instruments with its cables, 1 panel with a cable and a T-strip. Then on the control panel side, it will create 3 cards for me. So, okay, bold that. It's running through and it builds all of those cables for me. Then it immediately takes you to the next step, starting again from the instrument side where you can create your next steps for the next JB, and so on until your whole project is done. But in my case, I don't want to add now another JB. All that I want to do is add 3 more cards, my analog output cards, and change that to analog output, library, and that's it. And say next, and it tells me 0 instruments, 0 field panels, but 3 cards going to be added, and let's finish this builder. So if I now click on my card panels, I can see there's my PLC, and inside here I can see all the different cards that's been created for me. So there's my analog input card, and I can define quickly my sort addresses, and Alt down will increment it for me. So I've got my sort addresses defined. There's my terminals for this analog input card. Then I've got my analog output. I can define my analog output sort addresses. And, there's my analog output terminals. And so you can go through, but the main thing is all of them has already been created by using that bulk builder of ours. If I go to the field panels, the JB will be there. Inside is my 24 terminals being created from 1 plus 1 minus all the way down to 8 plus 8 minus, and my cable, 8-pair cables being created for me. Then if I go to loops, there's still no loops. I just created my instruments. These are the productive instruments, placeholders that you can use. So there's my 10 instruments, but I don't have a loop yet. But that's not a problem because we have used the bulk component builder. Now we will use the bulk loop builder. Here you can create your rule again that create your loop number from the stack number. So I can just say select all, and all it's going to do is use the first part of my tag number plus a dash plus the left first character of the second part, which is the F, plus a dash plus the last part of the tag number. So build the loops, and you will see it brings the FT and its valve into one loop. The second flow transmitter and its valve in a second loop, and so on. Exactly what I want. And say, okay, do so. And it created those loops and associate the instruments with their T-strips and cables with that loop already. So now I can see there's my flow loop. Again, the same what I've showed you previously. There's just not information in there, but you can start fill it in by just typing in there. You can say this is my flow. So whatever you want to type in, you can do. Then the T-strip analog input, my instrument cable. This is my analog output terminals and its cable. There's no documents, but I will create the documents a bit later with another bulk tool that I can do. Bulk tools are normally, if I want to create documents, I will go to the correct module, to the documents module, and create it there. We were now in the components module, and now I want to go to the block connect where I can create my cable connections and cable block diagrams. So I can say new block diagram, and it's for my JB. I'm going to create it per JB. You can do it per PLC, whatever your preference are. So here it is. I create that, and now I can drag this JB onto this diagram. So it's just a border that you can configure. You can import another or select another template, which is just the border. Here by default, this is the one I've selected. And I can say, okay, build all the connections because it's created by my bulk builder, and auto arrange this. And there's my first cable block diagram completed. So I can arrange it like that, and I can save this. Also on top of this will be my report. So on my report side, I will already have a cable schedule that will tell me all the cables, the source and destination of it. It will already have an instrument index, not with a lot of information, but I can see it's starting to build. But my PLC information will not be there yet, and I'm going to do the detail wiring now. So from the cable block, I can do my detail wiring. By selecting this cable in the order I select this, in that order I want to connect in this JB. So in this JB, it must first connect those 3 flow transmitters and then the 3 valves in that order I selected. So I can say, okay, do so, and auto connect for me in that selection method. And if I look at my JB and I say, show me my detailed connections, it will open this window where this will confirm that all my cables are connected. And this view confirms that my cores are connected. So now you can see there's my 3 FTs and then the 3 valves, and there's some spare at the bottom for this JB. And this view also indicates to me how my loop drawing is going to be like. So I can immediately see the detailed data behind it and to ensure that, that I'm going to create a proper document. So what I want to do now is do my cross wiring between this strip and the PLC cards. Just to illustrate a little bit of the functionality, if I click on that cable, it will tell me this is my cable and the source is that instrument and the destination is the JB. And if I click on the next one, you will see there it is. I can just disconnect it here and reconnect it to another place. All of that is still allowable, but this is it's already done by the auto connect that I've used. So to do the cross wiring within my PLC panel, I just click on the panel itself. It goes into single wire mode, and the source is this T-strip, and then the destination must be my first analog input card. And if I want to use 2 wires to connect to my instrument, then I can say, okay, let's do all my analog ins as green. I've got 3 instruments there, so I add 3 of these groups, and I just connect it to that first flow transmitter, to the second one, and then to the third one. And then from here, from top down, and I can say save these connections. It asks to increment it to the next position, and that is for auto generation purposes. So yes, do so. And you will see it puts it into the D connection from CO. There's a missing, I can immediately see there's a missing connection. That's not a problem. So I will just add another, I don't know why that one is out. Let me just disconnect it there. I want to disconnect this side as well. And now I want to add another green one and drop it onto that one. And from there, drop it onto there. And now it's properly connected. So you can now immediately see the benefit of having this view. And if there's something not correct, you will pick it up immediately. And now I can see that my analog ins are correct. I still want to do the analog output part. So I can select my analog output card now. And here, let's do all the analog outputs as yellow. And I can have 3 of them as well. So this is on my first valve, then on the second valve, and the last valve. And from here, I can drop it onto that first one and save it. Yes, increment it. And there's my analog outputs connected. And I can see green, yellow, and so on. And by looking at the data, I'm now ready to create my cable block, my loop drawings. So I will go to my documents, and in here, I don't have any loop diagrams yet. I have my cable block diagram and my card connection diagrams. So now I will use the bulk builder to create loop drawings for the loops, the 5 loops. Select them all, and I bolt the tags according to the loop number, and I put it on a landscape A4, associate that, and create my documents. Then I'll go back, and I will do it for the field panels, which is just one at the moment. Select it, bold it, and put this on a portrait A3 and associate that and create that entry. So now you will see suddenly I've got a termination connection diagram for the JB. If I open this, it created from those information, this drawing. As you see, I didn't draw any lines, but there's my JB, the 3 flow transmitters, then the valves. And here also the detailed information where this cable is connected on the right-hand side to this terminal strip and terminal number, and the left-hand side to that terminal strip and terminal number. All of that has been marked for me already. and this drawing is ready. If I look at my loop drawings, I can see there's 3 loops, and I can just update and view them, and it will create those 3 loop drawings from the data. So now you will see there's my 3 loops, flow transmitter 3 and valve 3, how it's connected to this JB, to a landing strip, my unlock input card. I can see the software addresses, the channel, the terminal numbers, and then for the second one, it's different numbers, different channel, and so on, green, yellow. And there you can see how quickly it is to get to this level for the 3 loops. And normally, if I talk to people to do what I've done in these 5 minutes, will take people from 3 to 5 days, depending on the skill level of the guy that's doing it in the conventional way. On top of this, you will also have now your I/O schedule ready. So that card layout of mine will be there. It will show me all these cards. There's the ones that's already been used, the rest is still spare. And I also have like a I/O schedule that I can look at. And there's my I/O schedule also being created. And as you can see, very quickly to build your information, to have your data ready. And that's the purpose of an intelligent system, and that you don't have to go and focus on trying to populate everything, but you focus on your design and your information. Now, the last thing I wanted to show, I said that was the last one, is actually how do I maintain this, that I can actually go and redline this. Now, I want to go back to my previous project because that one is the one that I got linked to my database system. So I just want to quickly open that one again. I want to show you something there. So, and then 2 minutes more and I'm done. So I open that same project and I go into my instrumentation. And then if I go to my documents module, I can see here is the loop connection diagram. Remember this one from the PIN-ID that's been updated. I can see it's inside this folder. It's an Area 22 RES 3 folder. If I open this folder, there's the folder itself. And now I can redline this by double-clicking on this. And this is a free viewer that I was talking about in the beginning. And this free viewer of mine, you can do your redlining, and this is for a call out. Say it's overnight or a weekend, and this pair has been broken by something in the plant. I can say, okay, mark this. This is where I've done a change. I can mark it up like that, and I can add some text if I want to. So, okay, I used my spare pair 8, for example. And if it was before 12 in the night, I will probably do more effort. If it was later, maybe not all this. But there's my drawing. Now, imagine if somebody needs to tell you, I've used spare pair 8 on a flow my I2P 01. You won't know what cable was affected. You won't know which PLC card was affected, which channel on the PLC card was affected. So by just typing it normally in, there's a lot of miscommunication and misunderstandings from this. But with ours, if I do this and I now save this, it will create, it flags the database firstly that it's read, there was a change, and then it will actually create the workflow that I spoke about. And you have to log in, and then you can say it is electrical or an instrument procedure. And here you will have the list of people that will be notified. Now, I've removed all the extra people because they started to not so happy with me if I spam them with email the whole time. So now it tells me a new workflow was successfully being created, and it was also redlined. And you will also receive, all these guys will receive an email about this change. So I can close this DJM viewer of mine. And in fact, what happened is also that if I would come in here, it will be a red document like this. And now I can try to update it. It won't be able to update it. And you will see this red line document. And this is how you can maintain and ensure that your documentation is still correct. And in fact, this is the most problematic part normally in any maintenance phase of your documents. But also what happened is you will get this software with our software is what we say our workflow tool. And here you can define your users that's inside this project, or you can define your procedures for electrical instrumentation or your PID, who must get all that emails. So all of that can be defined. And then you can see the statuses here. So in pending, there's my latest one that's done today. So there it is. If I open it, exactly what you have seen. And now again, this is a picture. Because it's a picture, it tells you a lot more than just what somebody would have typed in. And that's what I tried to illustrate. And now I can approve it, and you have to sign it. Otherwise, it won't allow you to approve it, or you can reject this. So I will just approve it and say go and fix, or it's already fixed. So it's within my engineering standards. It's within my safety standards. So I'm happy with this change. And now the workflow is approved, and the notification has been sent to this whole list of people again. And this is how you can easily maintain your software. And I just want to see if I received this mail now. Yes. So I just received that email, and this is the type of email you will have received to say that the workflow message, that the workflow was approved, and whoever was assigned, and you get that detailed information from which project it is, what was the loop number, and the ID of that document, so that you can't make a mistake, and it said it was signed and approved by whom. So you have the whole information, who is maintaining your information, and so on. So now you will see that the pending has changed to signed, and you can go through this. You also have, like, you can quickly look at your procedure, which is my instrument procedure, and you can see who's responsible or what must be done with a change like this. You can see the history of it. So in other words, who have looked at it, who approved it, who have maybe rejected it, all of that information, and you can see the progress of it. Okay, I think that's enough from my side. I try to stay within my time frame, and I said there will be 5 minutes at the end for some questions and answers. So thank you for that, Sello.
Thank you, Johan, for that excellent presentation. We'll now open the floor for any questions. If anyone would like to ask or type a question, please feel free to do so. We've got about 7 minutes to go before the end of the webinar. So I'm just going to quickly go to the question and answer box. Let's see. Okay, we've got one question from Charles. Charles says, thank you for the presentation, Johan. For a mining operator that wants to adopt your solution, does your software integrate with existing systems, SCADA, PLCs, DCS, Historian database, Mine Dispatch, digital twin platforms? That's the question from Charles.
Hi, Charles. As I showed from those user tools, we have already systems in place for SCADA, like Wonderware and so on. But the Siemens tool, for example, can update your PLC and your Siemens S7, PCS7 SCADA system. The same for Schneider. And then we call it specifically user tools because we develop those tools for our users as they come in. In other words, if you have a system that we are able to link to, then working with you, we create those user tools and share it with everybody, and you test it and accept it from there. So yes, we can do it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I think we can take one more question before we close the session. If anyone wants to ask a question, please go ahead.
Yes, Sello, I have a question as well, another question. Thank you again, Johan. Johan, does the system support API access or custom data connectors?
Charles, no, we don't have API interface. We only have like the export-import capabilities. So with export, also it can be in various formats. And then on top of that, you can create a combination of tables as a query where you can, for example, get your loop plus the instrument plus where it's connected to the PLC, that type of information into one data set that can be exported to any format that you can reuse. Also, for it, yeah, so no APIs.
Okay, thank you for that. Another question for you, Johan, is this is more on the database and data side. Is the platform cloud-based, on-premise, or is it hybrid?
It is currently only on-premise. For the simple reason we wanted to go cloud-based, but we found that, especially in South Africa, for example, is that guys are not comfortable of going to the cloud, and this type of information is more used locally. So yeah, it's just on-premise at the moment. But it can be like on a shared profile. In other words, since COVID, some of our clients gone onto a cloud system on their side where everybody can connect to it. So yeah, if it's their own local cloud, that can be done, not a problem at all, because it's just connecting to a SQL server. Doesn't matter where the SQL server is.
Thank you. Yeah, maybe my other question for you, maybe my last question is on training and change management, because we see sometimes that is an area where people struggle when it comes to adoption. So my question for you is, Johan, is what training is required for engineers, technicians, and maintenance teams to be able to effectively use your system?
Okay, also a very good question. Thank you for that. What we have done with our system is that a 5-day training course, and it's online, normally get all our people going very strong. And especially if you've got a little bit of design experience, then 5 days is more than enough. And we train you all the modules and all the customization of the product itself. So yeah, 5 days will get you to that level.
Excellent. Salo, can I throw in one more question?
Yes, 1 minute to go.
Thank you. Yeah, my question, Johan, is about cybersecurity, right? Because this is an issue that comes up a lot when we're talking about anything that has to do with software. Maybe just tell us, data encrypted and secured, and also user authentication, access permissions. Maybe just comment on those items.
So yes, we in fact just redid some of our, especially on the licensing side, to have the latest encryption and security methods that we do, because the licenses are web-based. And then the connection to your SQL server is also encrypted, so that you can't see it, any of the connections if you try to use through it. Yes, so basically in that, and that's all that we need to do is connecting to your SQL server and for the licensing to a website.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. I think we have now come to the end of the session. I would like to extend a special thank you to Johan and the entire DOSOFT team, as well as the MICA team, for putting together today's session and for sharing these insights with us. Please note that